Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm doing a Q&A video, so answering all the questions you guys have for me. I put a question up on YouTube, Instagram and TikTok asking you guys for any questions you might have, whether that's personal or to do with the horses or to do with training, and I got lots, so I've sort of looked through them, picked out all the best ones that I feel like I'll be able to give you guys good answers for, so I'm going to go through them now and answer the questions. I actually meant to film this a few weeks ago, but I just have been so busy that I didn't have time to just sit down because I knew it would take a while to go through the questions and give you good answers. So yeah, I've got time now, so sorry it's a bit later than it was supposed to be. Okay, so the first question is, how long have you had all your ponies and what are their stories? So we've got 6 ponies at home and not all of them are ridden and not all of them are technically ours. So I'll go through them one by one and give you a little bit of a story of how they came to be ours and yeah, how long we've had them for. So the horse that we've had the longest that we've got with us now is Sydney, and he is one of the ones who's technically not ours because he's on loan to us, but we've had him for 9 years now, so he's not going anywhere and his owners aren't going to ask for him back. So Sydney was originally for my sister when she was around 7 or 8 to go do some local shows on, to go on fun rides on, to go out hacking with, basically just a fun little pony that you kind of have at that stage in your riding just to sort of show you the rounds and give you more experience. So she rode him for a few years and then he was passed on to me. And he was like my first proper pony. I'd ridden horses, just like doing walking and trotting on the lead rein, but he was like my first pony that I thought of as mine and who I had for a long time. And he basically taught me how to ride. So I did my first canters on him, I did my first little jumps on him, I did my first hacks on him, I did fun rides on him, everything like that. He's just kind of been a family pony who we've had for a long time now, and we all love him very much and we've got lots and lots of stories with him. He went out a few years ago to go and help a little 4-year-old girl learn to ride for a year, so we didn't have him for that space of time. But then he's come back to us and he's been back with us for I'd say about a year now, and now he is officially retired. He's living out his best life as a 31-year-old and he is just the life and soul of the yard. He goes wherever he wants, in whatever fields he wants, he goes in the garden sometimes. He's the king of the yard, he literally just runs the place, and all of the other horses get along with him, they all love him, the Shetlands love him, we love him, and he's just a little cheeky monkey. And it's so nice to see him really enjoying his retirement and still being really jolly even though he's an old man now, and we all love him very much and we've got lots of memories of fun times with him, and it's really nice for him to still be with us and just a happy pony. So that's Sydney. Moving on to Yoda, who we've had for the second longest out of all of our horses currently. And he again was originally for my sister. We got him I think around 5 years ago, and he was a eventing pony for my sister basically, to take her up the levels. She evented him 80 and 90 for a while and also show jumped up to 105 with him. So yeah, he was like essentially a competition pony for her, but obviously we also did hacking, schooling, fun rides, etc, etc, just all the general stuff, but we got him for her to be a pony she could compete on. So she rode him for a few years and then wanted to move on to something slightly different, and so he was passed down to me, and I've been riding him for coming up to 3 years now, and obviously I've kind of changed his lifestyle slightly and we've started doing more of the groundwork and the liberty and the bridleless, which he's really loving. So yeah, he's again been quite a family pony in the sense that we've had him for quite a while and we've got lots of memories with him. So yeah, that's Yoda. And then next I think is Meg, who's my mum's horse. So we got Meg as a 3-year-old I believe for my mum to back and have long term, and she's turned 7 this year, so we've had her for quite a while too. She's basically been doing a lot of the same stuff as Yoda, a lot of hacking. She's learning to jump at the moment, she's been going out cross country a few times, she's doing fun rides, she's basically very green, just learning about everything. And yeah, her and Yoda absolutely adore each other, so those two are best friends. Next on the list is Scruffy, and we've had him for 3 years now. He's the other one of ours that's on long-term loan, and I got him basically as an introduction to my natural horsemanship journey, because I started showing an interest in it. I wanted to do trick training, and I begged my mum for so long to try and find a little Shetland that we can have, and she was like, okay, I'll see if any of my clients have any that they'd like to loan us. And Scruffy's lovely owner Rob said that we could borrow him and see how we got on for a year, and then we'd go from there. So the first year I got him, we brought him home and I taught him lots of tricks. I got straight on that, did liberty with him, and yeah, we got on really well. So we've had him another 2 years since then, and we've now just started teaching him to drive. So that's been a little series that you guys have really enjoyed, because I've been showing you the journey that we've taken him on, teaching him to drive in a natural horsemanship way. So doing it as kindly as possible, as gently as possible, and making sure he's happy and comfortable the whole process. And he absolutely loves that. He's been getting on so well with it. Scruffy also does a few shows every now and then. We did a fete in the summer, and we'll hopefully do a few more of those next summer if we can. Now, second to last is Popcorn, and Popcorn has sort of more of an interesting story, because one of the things Mum had said to me when we first got Scruffy was that if I got along with it, we could get a Shetland of my own that I could work with completely from scratch, try and find something that maybe needed rescuing, maybe had a history of trauma, maybe a baby. We would just see what came up, but something that I could really work with, that would be a challenge for me and teach me lots, and I could teach it tricks and do shows with it. All of the same sort of stuff that I wanted to do with Scruffy, but something that I could really start from scratch. And we found Popcorn. And Popcorn, at the time when we bought him, was 15 months old. He was completely unhandled. He didn't even know how to be led. He couldn't be caught in the field. He couldn't really have his feet done. He couldn't really be brushed. He didn't really know how to take treats. All things like this. He was just very skittish, very sort of wary of humans. Didn't really know how to interact with humans, so it was the perfect project for me to sort of have a blank slate, really, that I could work with and that I could teach. And he has been just the most lovely pony to work with ever. He's such a people pleaser. He just tries so hard. He just wants to do everything right. He's just such a kind pony, and I love him so much. So I've had him for coming up to 2 years now, so not actually very long. And he's just turned 3 this August. We've done shows together, we've done a showing class together, we've gone swimming together. He's just my little best buddy, and I love the thought that he's only a baby, so he's going to be with me for so much longer, and I get so many more years of Popcorn. Okay, now last but not least is Fanto. Fanto probably has the most interesting story out of all of them, really. So he was originally from Spain, where he was suspected to be badly treated. He was then bought and imported to England by a lady who sent him to a schooling livery, where we know for a fact he was badly treated. And as soon as the lady realised, she took him out of the schooling livery and sent him to a sales livery, because he was so sharp and so sensitive and so anxious that she thought he'd be better off in a different home, and she just wanted what's best for him. So the sales livery were trying to sell him, but every time someone new came to try him, it just wound him up even more, because he's so sensitive and so anxious. They were like, this isn't really working. And they were friends with Mia, who works at the Heart of Horsemanship, who's a good friend of ours, who does natural horsemanship and all the same stuff as me. And I've learnt a lot from her. She's given me lots of lessons. And she said, look, we have this horse, he's very sensitive, do you want him? And Mia at the time thought he could be part of their Roman riding pair, because they have another Palomino and they wanted to do a little Roman riding pair with both of them. So she said, yeah. But when he turned up, he was slightly too small to be part of their pair. So she just had him turned out in a field for a year, just living, being a horse, just relaxing. I think it was a really good reset for his brain to just be out and not worrying about anything. So she was on the hunt for a home for him, and my mum came up to treat all Mia's horses and treated Fanto, and we both just instantly fell in love with him. And a few months later, Mia was like, actually, we're looking for a home for him, do you want him? And we were like, yes. So Fanto's come to us, and he's been my project over the past maybe even 6 months now that we've had him, and I've rebacked him. So I've started right from the beginning, getting him used to the saddle, getting him used to brushing, getting him used to being tacked up, getting him used to people touching him, and we are now walk, trot, cantering out, hacking, just focusing on relaxation. We've figured out that he's much more relaxed out hacking than he is being schooled, so in the field. And I think it's because it gives his brain other things to focus on. So rather than worrying about what I'm doing, he can focus on the scenery, where he's going. It's a clear path that he needs to follow, and he doesn't need to worry about me. So we're just doing lots and lots of hacking, getting him really nice and comfortable and relaxed, and he's absolutely loving it, and I cannot wait for what the future holds with us. Oh gosh, that felt like it took a while, so let's move on to the next question before I lose my voice. The next question is, what's your favourite thing to do with each pony? I'm just going to go through this as quick as I can. So, favourite thing to do with Sydney is to run around the field with him, because he's such a jolly old man and I love it when he gets excited. Meggie, favourite thing to do with Meggie is either cuddles, because she's very cuddly, or again run around the field with her because she throws some amazing moves when she gets excited and it's very fun. Yoda, favourite thing to do with Yoda is bridleless, whether that's jumping, hacking, dressaging, going cross country, anything bridleless. He loves it, I love it, we just have the best time. My favourite thing to do with Scruffy is to go on walks, because his favourite thing to do is go on walks. He gets really excited, he walks at a million miles an hour and he just loves it, and that makes me happy. Popcorn, my favourite thing to do is Liberty and tricks, because he's so clever and he gets so excited whenever I come out with the treats and he's like, oh yeah, we're going to play. Or shows, I love performing with him. That's got to be one of my favourite things. And then with Fanto, my favourite thing to do is groundwork, because he absolutely loves it and he gets so relaxed and so happy and so calm and so sleepy, and it just makes me happy. Okay, that was a speedy one. So next question is, what is a quirk/fun fact each of your horses has? Fun fact about Sydney is he has no front teeth, so he has to be on hay as much as possible and the longest grass we have, and we give him extra food to make sure that he's okay. He has back teeth so he can crunch and he can swallow everything fine, but his front teeth are really worn down. One of Meg's quirks is that she is the most speedy walker in the world, and she'll just walk everywhere at a million miles per hour, like she's got somewhere to be. She is not going to be late. Yoda's quirk is that he knows the trick kiss, so every time I slightly tilt my head back or lift my hands up at all, he goes straight for my face and tries to give me a big slobbery kiss. That's thanks to Eloise. Eloise taught him that and I have continued with it. Scruffy's quirk is that I accidentally taught him how to do flying changes, and I'm not really sure how to ask him to do it or how he learned how to do it, but he does it. So that's his Scruffy's quirk. Popcorn's is that he likes mushrooms. We have field mushrooms in our field. We know what they are. We know they're not poisonous to horses, but Popcorn absolutely loves them. And Fanto's quirk is that he has a super floppy lip. So every time he's walking, he has a really exuberant walk, like his whole body moves when he walks and his lip goes up and down and flops with the movement of his head. So yes, that's very entertaining and I love it. Next question is, what were your first steps to incorporating natural horsemanship into your training? For me, it wasn't like a sudden shift. It was a really gradual, over time, sort of learning more about it and learning more. I think one of the most important things I learned was more about horse body language, and that's how to look for the signs of releasing, how to look for the signs of frustrations, really subtle signs of everything, basically, every emotion, being able to spot it before it can get heightened. And I think that's a really important thing people need to learn so that they can communicate with their horses subtly and read their horses. But one of the first things I did was introducing treats into my training and introducing groundwork into my training. So yeah, that was kind of my first steps when I first started doing natural horsemanship. Next question is, I use treats for my emergency stop and my pony keeps stopping for the treats. How do I help with this? This is a difficult one because when you reward a behaviour, the horse is automatically thinking, right, if I replicate this behaviour, I'll then get the reward. But the best way to put an end to this is simply by not rewarding unless you've asked them to do it. It may take time, but eventually they'll clock the lack of the reward and that will be enough to stop them from doing it. But you do need to make sure that every time you are asking, you are rewarding, and when you're not asking, you're not. So make that really clear to them. Everything about horses is clear communication and consistent communication. So keeping everything clear and consistent makes it way easier for them to understand and way easier for them to puzzle out in their head. What inspired you to start natural horsemanship? So I didn't really know natural horsemanship was a thing for quite a while. I had seen people do shows and performances where they did liberty and tricks, and a lot of the time that is achieved through natural horsemanship. Not all the time, I'm going to put that out there, not all trick training is done ethically, but a lot of the time it is. I knew that was a thing, but I didn't really know the concept of natural horsemanship really existed until one of my mum's friends, Sarah, started working for Mia, and she kind of introduced me to it, and then Mum kind of introduced me to it, and then I had a few lessons with Mia. I worked with Mia's Shetlands. Actually, that was kind of my first proper introduction to liberty, and I was like, oh, I really love this. And so I started learning more about it. I've always been someone who wanted to be as gentle and as kind as I possibly could with the horses I was working with or riding, and so it's not something completely new to me. It's not like I had to switch from traditional riding to natural horsemanship. It's always been something I've been interested in, being as kind as I can. So it was sort of just an extension of that. My camera's doing funky stuff. The next question is, what are your future plans with Yoda? Yoda doesn't really do one specific thing. He has a very varied life. He does bridleless, he does competing, he does hacking. So to be honest, I don't really have any specific plans or goals for what I would want to do with him in the future. Basically just the same as what we're doing now, but to a different level, if that makes any sense. So with bridleless, I'd really like to progress to him being able to hold a frame bridleless so that I can do nice dressage tests, maybe do some more difficult movements like lateral work, things like that. So sort of just doing what I'm doing now, but then extending it a bit more. I'd like to teach him some more tricks. Hello, woof woof. Hello. I'd like to teach him some more tricks and do more liberty work with him. And yeah, basically just have fun. One of the things I really, really want to be able to do is to event bridleless, and this may not happen in Yoda's era, as I'm sure it will take a long, long time for the event organisers and venues to start to allow this, but it's been my sort of dream for a while now, and it's something I'd really like to do, and I think we're very capable of doing. A lot of people would be capable of doing, but it's just a question of venues allowing it, and it will take a while, but we'll get there one day. So next year I'd maybe like to event bitless. I'm not sure again about the rules of that, but I know you are allowed it in certain organisations, so I'm going to look into that and maybe give that a go next year. But yeah, mainly improving our bridleless stuff. That's something I want to be able to do. Also do more demos and shows with him. That's obviously something I'm interested in doing. How many pets do you have? Okay, this is going to take me a minute, hold on. Okay, so we have 12 animals at home, and that is including the horses. So we've got 6 horses. We've somehow ended up with 4 cats, and we've got 2 dogs. So I'll put pictures of them all on the screen and give you kind of a short introduction to them. So we have 2 dogs, we have Otto and we have Oscar. Oscar is around 11 and Otto is around 7. We have 4 cats, we have Zumi, Snapcat, Ewok and Squid. And Squid is my sister's cat, and the other 3 are family cats. Zumi is actually the mum of Ewok and Snapcat, who we also call Bebop and Snappy. So 3 of them are actually related, which is really nice to have a little cat family. And then the rest are obviously the horses. The next question is quite an interesting one. This is, have you ever thought about switching over to completely positive reinforcement? So much of natural horsemanship is negative reinforcement. Now this is a really interesting question and something that's good for me to be able to talk about. So positive reinforcement is the reward of the correct behaviour, and negative reinforcement is the reward being the release. So pressure and release is negative reinforcement, and the person writing this comment is right. A lot of natural horsemanship is about pressure and release, but the majority of what I do is a combination of pressure, release and reward. So what I'm doing is neither negative reinforcement nor is it true positive reinforcement, but it's a combination of the both. So I'd say my training is more positive reinforcement than it is negative. I think if I ever was to switch over to full-on positive reinforcement, it would be if I got a baby, a young horse, that I would start from scratch simply using positive reinforcement. But for the time being, what I found works for us is using pressure, release and reward. So I'll never do pressure and release on its own. Very rarely will I do that. I will always use the release and the reward as the reward. But that's an interesting one and a good one to touch base on. Next question is, this is 2 questions. Number 1, who is at the top of the pecking order and which pony was the hardest to teach liberty to? So who is at the top of the pecking order? That would be Yoda. He is very stallion-y and likes to tell everyone he's boss. And he's got his girlfriend Maggie, so he's very protective of her. So yeah, he's definitely the boss out of all the horses. And which pony was the hardest to teach liberty to? I would say that would be Fanto, because of his anxiety around his body being touched, and he's very particular about where you stand next to him, about where he puts you, where you're allowed in his space. I think it's just about the trauma, isn't it? None of the other horses that I've taught liberty to have had trauma in their past, so that's understandable. But yeah, I wouldn't say he's been really hard, but out of the ones I've taught it to, he has been the hardest. Biggest ick in the equestrian community? I'm gonna say my biggest ick is when people see pain signals as horses being naughty or just like a quirk or something that they do that they think is really funny. For example, I see so many videos online of horses doing things that go viral because everyone's like, oh, that's so cute, that's so funny, oh look, he's so excited, and I'm just looking at the rest of the body language and what they're doing and I'm like, that's not a happy horse, that's a horse that's trying to tell you something. So I'd say that is my biggest ick, is people not really understanding horse body language to the extent that they should. And it's something that's very common just because I think people aren't really educated about it enough, and that's one of the things I try and push, is that horses always do things for a reason and they're never doing it just to annoy you or to try and be annoying or to try and be naughty. They're trying to tell you something. Okay, next question. Do you plan on releasing future items like your neck strap? I would love to. So the neck strap has been a big thing for me because it's something I've always thought of doing, and I'm really lucky that GK Halters could help me put that idea and make it a reality, and I absolutely love how the neck straps have turned out. I don't know, you guys let me know if you have any ideas of things that I could possibly release. But yeah, it's something that I'd definitely be up for doing if the opportunity came about. Next question, did it take convincing your parents to get horses? No, it didn't, because I was very lucky to grow up in a family that already was horsey. So my mum's had horses since she was a teenager, and so I was born in a household that was already horsey, so it didn't take convincing, and we already had horses around, and I'm very lucky to have had that. What are your goals with Fanto? And separate question, will you show Fanto? And I'll just squish these into one. So I would like to compete Fanto in the future if he's up for it. I would like to event him if he'd be comfortable with that. Obviously, it's all about taking things really slowly, seeing what he's happy with, and at the moment we're just getting used to each other. Like, I haven't been riding him for a very long time. Obviously, I've started completely from scratch with him, so it's a whole new world for me. I'd love to do bridleless with him like I do with Yoda. I'd love to do shows with him. I'd love to do competitions with him. I'd love to do performances with him and demos with him. So essentially, all of the things I'm doing with Yoda, I would like to be able to do with Fanto too. Next question is, would you ever get a ready-made horse to compete? Short answer to this is no. I don't care about competing enough to ever want to get a ready-made competition horse. it would also be very likely that I wouldn't agree with the way it was trained to get it to that point. Competing isn't my thing that I want to do. My life with horses is just going to be based around having fun, doing natural horsemanship and enjoying it, and I love training. I don't think I'd ever want someone else to do the training for me and me to just have the after product. That's not something I'd be interested in. When do you want to get another rescue? We currently do not have space to have any other horses. We are very full. Our fields are full, our stables are full. So we aren't in a position where we could get another rescue currently. I don't feel like there's anything missing from the horses that I have, if that makes any sense. I don't feel that there's a space that needs to be filled. Obviously, I would love to be able to rescue more horses, but we just currently aren't in a position to be able to do that. And until we have more space, it's just not something that would be possible. So the answer to that question is I don't really know. If you could eliminate/change one welfare issue, what would it be? So this is something that I've actually thought about, because this question I got quite a while ago, and I've been thinking about it since, thinking how I would answer this, because there's so many things. To pick one is quite difficult. But I think it would be to allow competitors to wear what tack they feel comfortable in. I would rather it didn't go harsh attack, but for example, in lots of dressage competitions, you either have to be bitted, or a lot of the time in high level dressage you have to wear a double bridle, and some people very much disagree with that and would like to just be in a snaffle, or lots of people would like to just be bitless, or lots of people would like to just be bridleless. And I think if they allowed it, lots more people would learn about it and see that it is possible and start to do it too. Obviously, I would really like to be able to, there's a fly, go away fly, event bridleless. So yeah, allowing people to go in what tack they're used to training in and used to working with. Do you plan to event next season, maybe even BE? So yes, I do plan to event next season. BE, probably no, because it only starts at 80, and I've made the decision to keep Yoda at 70 for the time being, because that's where he's comfortable. I don't really mind what height I do, I would just like to be competing with him. I mean, who knows in the future, probably one day I'll event BE. Who knows what horse it will be on, who knows in what circumstances, but very likely not next year. If you could ride any other equestrian YouTuber's horse, who would it be? So I was thinking about this one as well, because again, there's so many equestrian YouTubers out there, it's really hard to choose with such lovely horses, but I think this content creator is mostly known on Instagram and TikTok, but it would be my horse Willow's horse Oakley, because he's so pretty. I'm a sucker for a Palomino and he's just gorgeous. What other sports do you do? So I do dance. I've done dance since I was 3. I did musical theatre for a while. I don't currently do it now, but yeah, that's about it. So I do dance and I did musical theatre, but not anymore. Who has been the fastest learner? Scruffy is definitely the fastest learner out of all of our horses. He is so clever. He learns something after like 1 or 2 times of having it repeated. He's just like the cleverest pony I've ever met. When did you start riding tackless, and how are you so good at steering? I started riding tackless maybe about 1.5 years ago. So that was when I'd worked with Yoda on bridleless for quite a while, and we just started getting the hang of it, and then we started doing tackless. Steering is something that I think it's the thing most people struggle with when teaching bridleless, because there's many different ways of training it and many different ways you can teach the cues. For me, I first taught him steering with a schooling whip, so I would direct his nose away from the schooling whip, but over time he has just become so attuned to my seat and my body weight and the neck strap movements that I can get rid of the stick, and all I need to use is my seat, my eyes, my shoulders, and very occasionally for very sharp turns I use the neck strap, sort of like neck reining. But I didn't actually teach it to him to listen to my seat. It has just come over time, and it has been a long process, and we have been doing it for a while, but I think you just need to be patient, trust the process, and trust that it will come over time. And I do recommend using the stick when you first start off, as horses get it. Horses respond better to driving pressure rather than pulling pressure, just naturally. It's just how they're made. And so yeah, it makes it easier for them to understand directing their nose rather than trying to use the neck strap to steer. And like I said, you won't have to use a stick forever. It just sort of starts them off, and then over time they will become more attuned to your seat and how that directs them too. What is your dream job? My dream job is to work with horses full time, train horses, give people lessons. I want to be doing shows. I want to rescue horses. Yeah, I just want to have a job doing what I'm doing right now. So working with horses using ethical methods. And I think it's something that's becoming a lot more big in the equestrian world, and I'd love to be doing it full time and have it as my career. And I obviously love performing with my ponies so much. That's also something I'd love to be able to do more of in the future. What is your dream brand to work with? I wouldn't say I have any particular brands that I would really love to work with. If I was to sort of write criteria for a brand I'd want to work with, it would be a brand that supports my ethics and that's 100% into what I do and is interested in it and is wanting to learn. Yeah, I just would want to work with brands that support what I do and my way of training and my way of working, and that's all I really want. So that is the last specific question I've got written down here. Many people were asking things like how to train bridleless and how to start out with liberty. I do have tutorials already up on my page for those things, so make sure to go check them out if that's something you'd be interested in seeing. Drop a comment in the comments box below if there's any specific videos you would like to see, or tutorials or educational videos, things that you're interested in knowing about horses, about my way of training. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.